Good afternoon and welcome to Brunch and Budget on Bonfire Radio with your host, Pamela Capallet, a certified financial planner here to help take the bite out of your budget. Brunchandbudget.com. I'm your sound provider, Dialect, and here's your host, Pamela Capallet.
Thank you, Dialect. You know he does that live for every show, right, guys?
What? Like Homeboy from Saturday Night Live or whatever other old
it's
shows.
good.
Welcome to the Something or Other show.
It's good because it's like familiar but still feels live. Like I listened to some of the old ones in the beginning and I'm like, wow, so consistent.
We are your comfort radio.
We are your comfort radio, just like brunch, just like bacon and eggs and mimosas and shit.
Which we learned recently are new to the brunch game.
Yes. If you listened to last week's episode, good shout out to past episodes. Anyway, we are here today.
Continuity, son.
Yes, you know. We are here today to actually talk about the art of the side hustle.
Side hustle.
Yes, which I feel like we could say is an extension of the episode we also did recently on why you should never retire.
Right, because
Yes.
there's always hustles to side.
There is, and now it's easier than ever to hustle your side or side your hustle or whichever direction you want to go in.
Well, it's funny. We were talking about it a second ago. I don't know if it's easier than ever or if we're going back to a place where this was easy because it was expected.
Right, it was
people.
the only option.
Well, it was just what you did.
Yeah.
I've got a thing, you need a thing, we work it out.
Yes, exactly. I met with a client recently and we were just talking about that and her going freelance, and she actually brought up a really good point. She said, before big corporations and big factories, what did we do? We freelanced. We worked for ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Well,
we offered services that other people in the community needed.
Yeah, I mean, everything that we could put together, sometime between the 50s and now, you will usually end up getting mass produced. Everything
Right.
once the factory thing became a thing, it started a path where it was harder for people to put together businesses where they created stuff, physical stuff, because there were these factories that could mass produce things, and you and your I can make 5 of this thing a day was not going to compete with the factory that's mass producing thousands.
Well, I think Etsy would have to disagree with you, sir.
Well, you see,
And
now we
that
got a new game with that.
Yes, so that is our investment appetizer for today, actually. We are talking about B corporations in our investment appetizer, and Etsy, if you
Is
haven't
that like
heard...
S corporation?
No, it's actually a whole different class of corporation. It's a whole other letter. So B corporations, Etsy actually recently had its IPO, its initial public offering, and it is the biggest B corporation that exists. So if you actually look up B corporation, there's a bcorporation.com. It's a whole thing. It's actually a new business structure, and it's not like an S corp or a C corp necessarily where the taxation is what designates it. A B corp is specifically, okay, so my goal and my bottom line isn't to make a ton of money and isn't to make a ton of profit. My goal at the same time that I'm running a business is to meet standards of social and environmental performance, accountability, and transparency. So B Corps are like the for-profit equivalent of a nonprofit in the for-profit world, if that makes sense. So they're not nonprofits. The owners are still the owners, but the mission of their company is much more than I'm going to make you as much money as possible.
Word.
Yeah. And so it's a new thing.
So it's a business.
Yes, it's a business that is socially conscious. So yes, it's
a business with foresight.
Exactly. And the reason why I wanted to talk about Etsy today is because Etsy is one of the places where you can actually start a really good side hustle, and a lot of people have, and Etsy has created a marketplace for that. It's kind of like the crafter's eBay, and there's a lot of jokes about, it's the hipster eBay, and, everyone's out of Brooklyn and all of that.
So who is eBay for, if not
I don't know, like other people?
the non-hipster? You old fuddy-duddies go to eBay.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry. No, Etsy, though, is holding up to its B corporation status. One of the things that has made a lot of Wall Street investors a little nervous is, one, Etsy hasn't made a profit in the last 3 years. They had a $15 million loss in 2014, actually.
Word, really?
Yes, they did. Their revenues were $195 million, but because they're expanding, they are most likely, that's probably why they're taking a loss instead of making a profit. And so going IPO, a company goes IPO, they go public basically because they want to raise money. And so Etsy is trying to figure out how to expand. And it's trying to figure out how to expand as a B corporation. So it has things in its SEC filing, Securities and Exchange Commission filing, that says things like, we eat on compostable plates and employees sign up to deliver our compost by bike to a local farm in Red Hook. They actually, the CEO stated that they will sacrifice short-term profits for long-term sustainability and environmental considerations. One of the things that they're actually looking into is investing in some kind of sustainable shipping to offer to Etsy sellers.
That makes
They
sense.
also are currently funding a craft entrepreneurship program. So it's a 14-week entrepreneurship course that they actually provide funding to for federal housing authorities and local communities to deliver to underserved communities.
Ooh, Etsy.
Talk about a B Corp, right?
Yo, this is so crazy. I like that it's called B Corp.
Yeah.
Well, because what's crazy about it is the lack of craziness. These are not. Etsy isn't the Pope. No one is making a charity of this. This isn't a not-for-profit.
Right, they're trying to make money. They just went public.
They will make money with this. They are making money. This is a way to do business selfishly with an eye on the long term. Mm-hmm. The thing that annoys me the most about how, quote unquote, free market capitalism is done with stuff is that these selfish choices usually aren't really selfish choices. They're selfish choices in the short term that will help you out for this quarter.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the fact that the CEO actually had to say, we are sacrificing short-term profitability for long-term sustainability, that's crazy that he actually had to state that versus like, well, obviously you sacrifice a little in the short term so that you can exist in the next 20, 30, 40 years, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that he had to state that, but it's, it shouldn't be crazy because it's not a crazy thing. It's a really good business thing.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
how you do stuff.
Well, it's crazy that it's not the norm. That he
Yes.
actually had, he distinguished himself by saying that, and it was a quotable moment for him to say something like that. Like, oh, watch out for these Etsy guys, Wall Street. Who knows? You might not make your money this quarter.
I really appreciated when the show Orange is the New Black was talking a lot about the prison industrial complex.
Mm-hmm.
And when they met with the CEOs, there was one thing they kept beating into your head, which if you were a viewer, you might have felt was a bit much, but I don't know if enough of us really understand this concept. The financial quarter is all that matters to so many companies.
Straight up.
Well, I mean, specifically companies that are public.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, I really appreciate, I want to say again, guys, when a company does their IPO, it's because they want to raise money, not because they have made it.
Yes, exactly.
And everything is all
They're
good.
trying to take it to the next level. So they're raising all this money, and suddenly the company is subject to the public and subject to public investors.
It's a super Kickstarter with real consequences.
Yes, exactly. If your stock goes to zero, your company is dead.
Ooh.
Woo, yeah. So, and what's interesting too that you bring up Orange is the New Black is they also talked about how CEOs jump around every year, and that's why it only matters what the short-term growth is. I know Chad Dickerson has been in Etsy and working at Etsy for over 15 years.
Word.
He's the CEO, and he understands the mission and the vibe of the company.
Well, I remember as a youngster when you had, in the 80s and business was first becoming sportsified and they were giving a lot of star power to business people, that it felt like old-time sports where you associated the CEO with the company.
Right.
Nowadays, that's why even you see when CEOs come out with scandals, they get rid of them quickly because there's still that idea that, you associate the CEO as the face of the company.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is crazy when they're making decisions that only affect the quarter.
Yeah. And they leave within a year or two. So they can move on to the next.
Well, to continue the sports analogy, how many people lament in every sport? Anytime there's like, oh, this person only just came for a year. They don't care about it. It's the worst thing in the world. Again, sports guys who have ethics about stuff because the money is already paid. They're so mad at folks' lack of loyalty.
Yeah, LeBron.
Right, yeah.
That was a huge story.
People
I know
lost
about
their
that.
Freaking minds.
Yeah.
Lost minds. He
was a pariah.
Well,
oh
he's
my God.
the best sports heel. I love it. He was the big bad guy. It's it made great business in sports to hate this guy and to come after that.
That's true. I know about it, and I don't follow basketball.
And again, this is the norm.
Yes.
in regular business.
Yes, this is what happened. And we just let it happen.
The thing that you swear you hate. You remember when you got mad. Maybe it wasn't LeBron. Maybe it was some other sport. You felt some kind of way about people and their loyalty to their $1 million corporations.
It's true. It's true. Well, I have good news for you. After the IPO, the Etsy stock is up 88%.
Wow.
So people are into it. And I think a big part of it, too, is that Etsy, Etsy is a brand and it has a following. And people like to say it has a cult following. Is it a cult when so many people know about it and are into it?
Why a cult following? I don't get that.
I think people are misusing the word cult.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I wanted to know.
Yeah. I mean, one cool thing that Etsy actually did was that it actually had a program that gave vendors and other mom and pop investors the ability to buy up to $2,500 worth of stock before the IPO.
Ow.
So they're doing a lot. Way to go, B Corp.
Yo,
They're a good exemplar.
Yeah, I mean, I've said before. Well, I mean, not just way to go B Corps in general, but like Etsy. I've mentioned this before, and probably one of the dumber things that I've done is I don't have an Etsy account. You should have an Etsy account. Everyone should if you've made one thing, I go to Etsy and I'll look up stuff, the randomest, obscurest stuff, just to get ideas for stuff. And I see all these accounts. People have 1 or 2, maybe 3 things to sell, and they're solid.
Yeah.
It's a good supplemental income.
Yes, it's a good side hustle, right?
It's an excellent side hustle.
Yes.
It requires very little hustling.
Yes.
One thing I really like about Etsy is you don't have to be thirsty about it to be successful, for stuff to come. Because people are coming in there and looking.
Yeah, Etsy's creating that kind of marketplace and that kind of vibe.
If you've got a sweater that you knit or some crazy pattern that you've created or any kind of funky thing that you've done that's a physical object, slap it up on Etsy.
Yeah, just do it. Just do it. See what happens. Who knows, right? So Etsy side hustle.
I'm gonna start. We're gonna have a brunch and budget Etsy account by
I like that.
sometime this week.
All right,
and we're gonna
Let's
sell
see what
like
happens.
the randomest, like whatever we have. We'll sell our stickers. Maybe
I
our
love
stickers
it.
embroidered on.
Ooh,
on,
embroidery.
What's it for getting the stove?
What are you?
The oven mitt. Oven mitt.
He's like pincing his hands like
it's
like crabs.
Like a crab. I don't know. I couldn't think of oven mitt. But we'll make brunch and budget oven mitts or something like that.
I'm into that. Let's do it. Let's see what happens. Yes. So we are talking about side hustles today. Etsy is one of the options.
Ooh, I want to leave you with this.
Ooh,
if you
leave us with this.
are thinking, if I just said open an Etsy account and you're like, I have nothing to open an Etsy account with, I don't know what to do with an Etsy account, do this thing. Because this is another thing that I would love to do, but I probably ain't going to do, so somebody ought to do. Anytime you want something from Etsy, like I remember when I first moved into my house, I was desperately looking for salt and pepper shakers that were made in the form of Rapper's salt and pepper. Shout out to Cousin Cheryl. We couldn't find them. We couldn't find them anywhere. It was a terrible, I was so sad about that. And what I should have done was make some salt and pepper shakers and then put them on Etsy.
You still can.
So, this is what I'm saying.
Or someone else can, and then we can just buy them from
Well, that's
you.
what I'm saying to folks. If if you have nothing and you're like, I have nothing to put on Etsy, but you do dig that kind of thing and you would look at it, look up some stuff. And whenever you look up a thing that you can't find, we'll make that.
Yeah.
I just want to throw that out there. So.
I mean, are we going to start manufacturing salt and pepper shakers?
Well, if we can get the license from salt and pepper. If we only get the license from one of them, then that'll just be weird. We get like salt shakers.
Just salt shaker.
Pepper sold separately.
Pepper not sold at all, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so tragic. Well, and you also bring up a good point about the side hustle. It's something we're going to talk about today in terms of your side hustle doesn't have to be like the thing that you end up doing eventually, which I feel like a lot of people put pressure on a side hustle because it's, it's something that I only want to spend time on if one day I can quit my job and do this forever. And that doesn't have to be the case.
Well, and often the side hustle feels like it's a lot of effort. That it's going to not be a side hustle, that it's not going to be supplemental income, that it's going to be important, I have to make this my priority income, which scares a lot of people who don't want to go that far down the rabbit hole. Yeah,
and it could become that, but it never has to start that way. So we're going to talk about the different ways that you can side hustle now, service versus product side hustles. We're going to talk about the difference between a side hustle and a side project.
Ooh.
Yes, the tax considerations and other financial considerations that you would have to think about in a side hustle. And if and when it makes sense to make your side hustle your full-time hustle, or if it's time to quit your side hustle. Yes, all of these important things, but I believe we should go to a song right now.
Yeah, let's do some music. Yeah, I'm going to go to my homeboy, really my homeboy from my crew, Mind Spray, Concept. That's creative, on point, noble concentration, exceptional penmanship tradition. It's an anagram. With his song.
Wow, that was good. You knew all of it.
Yo, come on, man. I've known Concept for like 15 years. I'm going to teach it to his kid. Shout out to Concept and Elaine. Just recently had a baby, Lil Sept.
Little Sept.
Mini Sept. I don't know. We probably the first thing I'm going to do is teach that to that child. Anyway, this is one of my favorite songs he's ever done. It's a fantastic joint, and it talks about what we're talking about. It's called Indie Hustle. I sell hip-hop so I can buy hip-hop. Concept. Check y'all in a minute. Brunch and Budget. Bonfire Radio.
How we doing? Yeah. Check it. I said I sell hip-hop so I can buy hip-hop. Been addicted since I heard the beat drop. I said I sell hip-hop so I can buy hip-hop. Been addicted since I heard the beat drop. Yo, like drugs, concepts and cat slanging tracks. Get high when you buy DIY products. I'm a dealer smoking profits. Consumer of conscious profits. Beats that are toxic. Never know who will cop it. Streets is a perfect market. Put cash in your pocket. Listen, take a dose of lyrical slick dialect. LSD, serious salesman MC, making money tax-free. Yearly, like Timothy Leary. In the lab making psychedelics. Lyrics get discovered like ancient relics. Never jealous of the overzealous. Peace to Percy P plus radar ban. Any artists across the land with the independent planner. Use the Force Jedi. Keep it live to multiply music. Make the people need it like fluid. Mad pros had to do it. You'd have to say from NWA to Nirvana. Hustle your skills or you a goner.
I started selling my shit because I went to every record label, every record office, and was turned down. I was disrespected by these fucking dumbass A&Rs and people like that. That's the problem with the rap game. That's why I started selling CDs on the street, because I needed a venue to get my music out there to people. Some record label executive said, "Oh, he's good. Get him in, they might walk. Let's go sign him now."
I said I sell hip-hop so I can buy hip-hop. Been addicted since I heard the beat drop. I said I sell hip-hop so I can buy hip-hop. Been addicted since I heard the beat drop. Loops and lyrics get you lifted. Now you are addicted. Eye on the prize is the objective. When creative, be evasive. Now do you see ya? NYPD lock you up for this. Selling underground discs, avoid the risks. I'm not joking. That's why Concept live show promoting. Pigs ain't provoking. Can't find a flaw if I'm using camouflage. Elude public servant, serpent. Dive here uses a permit while making night school service. Some have no respect for an MC who's hungry. Ask him if they like hip-hop, they say country. When they're rocking baggy clothes, a shirt that says Echo with a huge rhino. For show, yo, unintelligent degenerates. Hating on someone who represents. Telling ya, streets unsafe. Been in the wrong place, screaming up in my face. Some big black guy, blood about to fry. Saying his skin color is king. Hating cause I'm doing my thing. Not phasing, training, remaining. Right tight, rhyme hype, hillbilly looking to fight. Telling me to top white. Every now and then, take a punch in the head. Y'all know why I smoke blunts before bed. I said I sell hip-hop so I can buy hip-hop. Been addicted since I heard the beat drop. I said I sell hip-hop so I can buy hip-hop. Been addicted since I heard the beat drop.
Necessity. I gotta pay the rent. If I wanna keep making music, I gotta fund my music. I have to make sure it gets out there. So it's a necessity. If I don't do this, nobody else is gonna do this for me.
Welcome back. Brunch and Budget, Bonfire Radio. That was the homie Concept from Mind Spray. Shout out again to the little baby. With Indie Hustle. I sell hip-hop so I could buy hip-hop. You know, one thing that I don't know if we do enough is talk about how businesses are a science. And there's specifically the science that is
like
problem
there's a formula.
solving. No, not necessarily a
Okay.
formula. It's problem solving. I mean, I guess there's a formula.
Well, that's very true. That's
And-
very true. That's why you have one. You're solving somebody's problem.
Well, you're solving several problems. You're solving simultaneously someone else's problem and your problem.
Right.
And-
Oh, I never thought about it that way. It's true.
Well, especially when you think about it in a simple way, like Concept Song. I sell hip hop so I could buy hip hop. He was a guy who liked hip hop, wanted hip hop, also made hip hop, and was like, I can simultaneously get more hip hop for me and more hip hop for others.
It's a circle of life. Whoa.
Yes, it's a. Oh, wow.
Concept, new circle of life. I'm so down.
When you say this, it's messed up. When you say circle of life, all I think of is racism towards hyenas.
Oh, it's so
Right,
true.
right. Wasn't Scar not the bad guy? He was like, hey, poor people who have been ostracized from society.
I got food
and
for
who
ya.
speak like you're from the hood. I'll feed you if you just do this stuff. Was he like Farrakhan or something? And it was supposed to, and that was like an anti-Muslim movie, or was that like a?
Well, I guess
Was he
couldn't.
supposed to represent? Was Simba Malik Shabazz, and that was his?
Is this the new? I thought it was based on Star Wars or Hamlet or something. Anyway, Circle of Life.
Was
not-
Star Wars based on Hamlet?
Yes.
I want to announce.
And Beowulf.
Hey, those guys who wrote the Shakespeare Star Wars thing, can you? And if you don't, I'm just gonna do this. Can you make a Star Wars Hamlet mashup? Because I don't think that they're the same.
Well, it's funny because I've heard that Star Wars. Wait, I guess that's not the same story. I'm thinking of Hamlet. I'm thinking Star
Wars
Wars.
is not like Hamlet.
Star Wars and Beowulf is what
Star-
I was thinking.
Star Wars and Beowulf, I can definitely
Star Wars
see.
and Beowulf because
Right.
I watched Star Wars after reading Beowulf in 7th grade. Shout out to Miss Barnett. Good call.
Yes. But
I've been trying to figure out how to segue back into Side Hustle, and I haven't, so we're just going to go back to Side Hustle right now.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. So you may have heard of the phrase gig economy or sharing economy, and it's basically what Craigslist has started is, oh, I have this thing and you need this thing. I'm going to sell it to you, and it's just like electronic classifieds, basically. I feel like Craigslist was the genesis for all of this. Like, if you think about it, Airbnb, that used to just be Craigslist room shares. And then Airbnb formalized it and made it way safer. I mean,
True.
basically all of these businesses, I feel like, were just like derivatives of Craigslist that just made it way safer. But there's also stuff like Uber. Uber is a gig economy job. Uber, Lyft, Airbnb, TaskRabbit, which is you can basically hire somebody to run errands for you, or you could be the person running errands. Fancy Hands is a virtual assistant, or you could be the virtual assistant. Handy and HomeJoy are both cleaning services, or you could sign on to be the cleaning person. Instacart, someone will go shop at Whole Foods or Fairway or Costco for you and deliver it to your house
For less than the price of a Metro card
for $4
to go to the place and back yourself.
$3.99.
Because we saw that. We tried that one ourselves.
We did. They delivered it in 2 hours, and it was just some lady. She was like
Some
talking
lady
on
went
her
to
cell
Fairway
phone.
for us
Yeah.
instead of us going to Fairway, and it cost less than us going to Fairway.
What? And
I
she was
wasn't
getting
mad at
paid
that.
for it.
Uh-huh.
Yes, Vayable is a new thing. You could actually sign on to be a local tour guide and give tourists a locals experience. Or if you really like dogs, you can actually dog sit. And there's a website called Dog Vacay where you can offer to be a daycare sitter or an overnight dog house sitter type person. So basically the gig economy or the sharing economy is, hey, I can provide a service, you need a service. Their technology has created a platform for us to meet in the middle and do an exchange.
Work.
Yes, so I feel like that is a new way to do a side hustle. There's also the old school side hustles, babysitter, bartender, bookkeeper, graphic designer, personal trainer, substitute teacher is a big one, DJ, all that kind of stuff. Those are also all considered side hustles. They've been around forever. And now it's just becoming more and more prevalent. And we actually are going to do a show at the end of the month on Uber. Uber is getting sued heavily in terms of whether or not their independent contractors should actually be classified as employees.
Well, isn't that the tough thing about a lot of these? I mean, I dig the whole. It kind of sounds like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, babysitter, bartender, bookkeeper, graphic design. I mean, those are things that we used to do on our own. We used to push it around ourselves, and we made a little bit of loot, and we were able to do our thing. And along came this pimp, this digital pimp that wanted to. No, all these things.
Yeah,
you know,
they're all middlemen.
They're all middle people
Middle
who aren't
people.
actually doing the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they're okay. Some of them seem not very intrusive because, hey, we just talked about how that lady, for cheaper than a Metro card, she got paid to go and get groceries.
And it came within 2 hours.
Right. You see how easy all these things are. But like a number of other businesses, and we know this in the entertainment world, more so than other types of things, independent contractors are often end up employees when they're only being paid and only being helped out in terms of their safety, like they're not employees, like that they have their own stuff and take care of their own thing. That's the stuff that plagued athletes and performers. It's why people start unions.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is very new in the grand scheme of things in terms of how people are being classified as employees versus independent contractors. Obviously saving the company a lot of money, and it also allowed them to grow and become, these huge things and these huge brand names essentially. But at the end of the day, a side hustle should also not take over your life unless that's your goal. So I feel like a lot of Uber drivers, for instance, that is their main source of income. And so they are coming into this with, they can control their schedule, but they also have no benefits. They have no sick leave. They have no paid time off. They have to pay for all their taxes. They have to keep track of all their expenses. So it really is a fine line right now, and I think that we're in the middle of sorting all of that out.
So are they paying, I guess, to break it down, it sounds like they're just paying for the cosign. Because what you're saying about the Craigslist plus safety, people used to go to Craigslist because it was centralized. It was better than, it was a better shot than people coming to you because, there's a billion people on the internet.
Right.
And you can't verify.
Yeah.
So it's basically all it is you're paying for the veracity.
Yeah, the advertising, the marketing, the technology. Well, on some level, yes. For things like Uber, for things like Handy, for things like HomeJoy, for things that maybe they should be classified as employees, that's one thing. For something like Instacart or Fancy Hands or TaskRabbit, it's another thing. It can very much stay a side thing for you. So, whatever, that lady who brought us our groceries, she did not seem like a full-time Instacart, I go grocery shopping all day type of person. It was like, I need to make some extra money. I have a day off. I'm going to go grocery shopping for some people, And for things like Fancy Hands, it's you can work whenever you want. And the intention of it is to just make a little supplemental income. So I think that that's a big difference between something like Uber versus something like even babysitting. Unless you're 12, that might not be your primary source of income.
I mean, it's tough, though, because I think about, when we're talking about the side hustle, these all sound like things that you could Lego your way into. This is my job. I do these 18 things at whatever rates that I can pull off, and I... Right.
Yeah. That begs the question, right? Can you just be a forever side hustler? Can you just have side hustling be your full-time thing with all of these things going on?
Well, and is it better than having
a stable
one job?
Yeah, that's the question we should ask first is, why are you side hustling? Why do you want to side hustle, right? Is it to supplement income from a day-to-day job? Is it to create more time for you to do your art? Is it to allow you to do something else that isn't making money right now versus working a 9-to-5? So I think that's the first question that everyone should ask themselves in general is, why are you thinking about doing a side hustle, or why do you do your side hustle? It's one thing if it's Airbnb where you're renting out your room, it's very low time commitment on your part, and someone just stays in your place and then they leave and they pay you. It's another thing when it is something like you were saying, like Uber or Homejoy, where it could very well end up becoming a job and becoming a primary thing in your life versus this side thing where you're making money so you can, take 3 months to write an album or take a year off to write a book or to create a body of work for an art gallery, and you do some of this stuff on the side. So I think there's two sides to the coin. I think that you can, on one side, it's are we taking advantage of people, and on the other side is are you giving people the ability to have more freedom with how they make their income?
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, I kind of feel like it's both.
Yeah. And it could be both. It could be, it could be big companies, again, exploiting people and exploiting labor. And I think that there is an aspect to that. I think that's why Uber is getting sued. And I think that we should definitely sort that out. But at the same time, I feel like that it is providing the ability to be financially independent in a way that didn't exist 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for more people, too. So, and again, a side hustle does not have to be the thing that you end up doing. It can very much be like, okay, I want to master a new skill. I need to earn extra money to pay rent. I want to explore an interest or a hobby, and I don't want to jump in,
Mm-hmm.
And so there's lots of ways to do it. And the places that I mentioned aren't the only ways to do a side hustle either. Those are some quick ways to earn cash. But in a lot of situations, a side hustle is also, for a lot of people, something that they're exploring on the side to see if it's something that they do end up eventually wanting to do for their whole lives. And I feel like, Dialect, you can speak to this because you are someone who is a collection of side hustles that is you as Dialect. You're a performer, you're an MC, you're a playwright, you're an actor, you're a hip-hop educator.
Yeah, I guess I never thought of it as a collection of side hustles. I just do the thing I do in lots of different areas.
Yeah.
And I guess for those of you who are unsure about what kind of side hustles you would want to do, I guess that's the first question to ask yourself is how can I do the things that I do
Yeah.
In different places for different people.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, and what's interesting about the way that you do it is just like you want to diversify your investments now, and I've seen this and heard this a lot before, and it makes so much sense. The way you diversify your investments now, you probably are going to want to diversify your streams of income. So if one thing isn't doing that great, you have other streams of income to fall back on and to focus on a little bit more if that's doing great.
Look at that, managed to get diversify in there too.
Yeah.
In case you were concerned about stocks and never want to do it, well, guess what? You still got to diversify.
Yep, you still got to, especially nowadays, because if you go back and listen to that, why you should never retire episode, the idea of job security, if you haven't felt it already, it doesn't exist anymore. Sorry, guys. Unless you're on your way out already of the job market. So there's pros and cons to both, right? Because the stability of having a job and a steady paycheck, it's something that I miss. I've been doing this for 7 months, and not knowing that there's going to be money in the bank every 2 weeks like I had before, it makes you anxious, especially if that's what you're used to. And so I feel like that giving that up is a scary thing, and it's something that not everyone is going to want to do. And so that's why something like starting something on the side is a great way to do that versus jumping in altogether.
Right. Yeah. Plan your next before you break up with your ex.
Whoa.
Right? Don't do that in relationships. That's mean. I'm just, it's a thing that you do, people of existence.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we do that with our businesses and our jobs too?
Yeah, totally.
Or instead, maybe.
Yeah, instead. Yeah, absolutely. But don't do it with people. That is kind of mean.
But you know what I'm talking about. You got to dip your toes into what you're doing.
You do, well, because the thing is...
I'm not talking about the relationship part.
Yes.
Don't dip my toes
Just
in
the
that.
making money part. No toes. No toe dipping in relationships.
Yeah. A moment of silence for that moment.
Yes.
But you do need to, before you jump into a brand new career.
Mm-hmm.
Although I do have to say, Dialect did that. I was working at you guys who have heard about the police doing terrible things to black folks. I moved here in the early 2000s, and I was working for a law firm called Fishbein, Badillo, Wagner, and Harding. Mr. Herman Badillo actually ran for mayor against Bloomberg. I helped write the speech. He lost. It's not my fault. It might be my fault. But they represented not only Tupac's mom, which I was like, oh, cool, they in hip hop and stuff, but also the lawyers who shot Amadou Diallo.
The police officers who shot?
The police officers,
Yes.
you mean, the police officers who shot and killed Amadou Diallo. You remember it was 41 times, which is ridiculous. They proved that they had to have reloaded and all this type of stuff. And what got me on my path to trying to be an entrepreneur was when they walked in the room popping champagne bottles. And all the minority folks looked around.
And walked out.
We didn't all walk out, definitely. And I didn't walk out at that moment either. But I remember on my lunch break, I usually would go across the street, talk about side things. I would go across the street to Barnes & Noble and read the books, because you could read the books and not buy them. If you just read them on your lunch break and you could read quickly.
That's a good budgeting tip.
But yeah. Instead of doing that, I went outside and I just kind of sat there for a minute. And I was like, I'm from the Virgin Islands. I could have a terrible job that crushes my soul and then go and chill on the beach afterwards. There's no beaches in New York. Don't let anyone fool you. So I couldn't do that. And it was the beginning of my path to being like, well, if I'm going to be here in all of this craziness, and I'm going to have to deal with this kind of stuff anyway, because, it's not like that, I would have been avoiding the whole place where the cops shoot up folks for pulling out their wallet. But I could choose not to have my stable safety paycheck be a part of that and figure out what I wanted to do next. And it was really that point when I was doing my artistic stuff and I already had side hustles. And actually at that point I was planning on putting together an escort, but that accelerated all of I need to be my own business. Right? I need to figure out a thing. Because if I have a good job that I think is good and stable, and one day it can just turn upside down on me where I'm like, what am I even doing here?
Right. You have no control. Suddenly your world is completely different.
Yay.
Yeah. So, wow. So you're braver than most, I should say.
I've had lots of support and help on that tip.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's another thing that's important and necessary. Also, I didn't quit my job right then. I didn't walk back in and be like, if you're cool and do all that type of thing. It was actually probably close to another year before I left that place.
Interesting. So you also did kind of that runway thing,
yes,
which we're going to talk about a little later. If you do find that your side hustle, you want it to be your full-time thing, is to build that runway. And also, it is a big transition if you haven't been doing it your whole life to just say, okay, I'm going to flip how I think about things and figure out how to make money on my own. It's crazy. It's a lot. I'm going through it right now, so I can attest, One thing that you should definitely ask yourself is if your side hustle or the thing that you want to work on is a side hustle or a project. So I mentioned that earlier, and there is a big difference. So a side hustle is something that you are going to try that is... The point is for it to make money now and to make money immediately and to supplement your income. And a side project is a passion project. It's something where you can see yourself doing it in the future, but maybe you need to put in the nights and the weekends and the lunch hours to actually build it and to test it to see if the initial idea that you had is actually something that could be viable. So just to give you an example... Pocketchange, which is the financial literacy company that I co-founded with an educator in California, it was very much a side project. It was very much, okay, so we're going to spend 2 years writing a curriculum and waiting and seeing if teachers are interested in it. And so that was very much a project that I worked on nights and weekends and things like that. And it was something that was very much a passion project and not something where I was expecting to see money to start coming in next week, for instance. Mm-hmm. Brunch and Budget ended up being my side hustle. And that was something where right away I was getting some kind of monetary value in exchange for my services. So at first it was just, oh, you're buying me a meal, you're taking me out to brunch, but eventually it started becoming like, oh, I'm willing to give you money for your services. And so I feel like that those are two big differences. And the thing about a side project is that nowadays, if I knew what I knew then now, is that how you say it? Anyway,
If I knew then what I know now.
Yes, yeah. Anyway, if I knew more stuff back then I probably wouldn't have spent all of that time writing something and assuming that if you build it, they will come. So I think that's also something to keep in mind if you are doing a side project, is to start interacting with people and the project as soon as possible.
There you go.
As soon as possible. Think
if you
about
build it, it will sit there.
Yes, exactly. And that's kind of what happened to our curriculum until we started actually showing it to people and piecing it up and figuring out what people needed. So thinking about who you're building this project for is a huge thing. And even if you just start asking friends or start talking to people that you encounter about it and seeing what their reaction is, it will inform how the project continues to grow. And it will change from what you originally thought. I promise you. Because right now with Pocket Change, we aren't trying to sell a curriculum to teachers. We are working on doing the financial literacy workshops ourselves, writing new curriculum as we go, testing it out, proving that it works, and making it more bite-sized for people to take it on. So it actually has turned into a side hustle because we've put our curriculum on this platform called Teachers Pay Teachers.
Yep. Shout out Teachers Pay Teachers.
Yes, so Teachers Pay Teachers is a platform where you are most people on the platform are teachers, and all teachers write lessons and all teachers need lessons. And so it is a marketplace, kind of like Etsy, I guess. It is a place where teachers can actually put their worksheets, their lesson plans, their curricula online and have other teachers buy it.
Well, I mean, that's, again, the to Etsyfy, again, teachers paying teachers. If you build it and you want people to come, you need a middleman.
Yep.
And, things like Teachers Pay Teachers and Etsy are great places where you can create something and not have to put... One thing I think about personally on the side hustle tip is that I don't want to have to advertise my side hustle hard.
Yes.
I don't want to have to spend a lot of time marketing my side hustle and making it a thing that you care about a lot.
Right.
It's why I encourage the Etsy thing and why I'm like, stupid lect, I should have some kind of thing up there.
Right, because it could make, a small chunk of money every month. Why not?
Yeah. For my music artists who have lots of records that you don't have up for sale, you should have them up for sale.
Yeah, totally.
Don't market them every day. Don't push them super hard and all that type of thing.
But put them on Bandcamp and Reverb Nation. You're buying songs for our show on
Yeah,
Bandcamp.
Bandcamp, Reverb Nation. You should be on as many things as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Within reason. I mean.
Yes, within reason. And the thing that's nice about Teachers Pay Teachers is you don't have to be a teacher to put content on there. You can just be a content provider, but they take a bigger cut if you're a content provider. So they take a much smaller cut if you're a teacher versus a content provider. But by putting one small lesson at a time on Teachers Pay Teachers, we are starting to see, one, what the demand is, two, what topics teachers are actually interested in buying, and three, what format they're looking for. So are they looking for small lessons? Are they looking for entire semesters worth of stuff? And we're starting to see patterns in terms of what kinds of things are selling and what kinds of things are not.
Oh, word. So, I guess a good thing is breaking stuff up into pieces. Like the same way video killed the radio star, the internet killed the album. Because the album was when record companies had you over a barrel, and they were like, yo, if you want this hot single, you got to buy all these songs, and now they don't. So I think that kind of mentality is, pervasive throughout all stuff. And rather than buying it, for those of y'all who haven't checked out the Pockets Change original curriculum, it is an excellent workout supplement. It's big as all get out.
It's huge.
So for people who aren't ready to buy all of that stuff, they can get their little piece. They can cop that single.
Right.
And if they dig more, they can get more.
Yeah, exactly. So offering both and things like that. And what's interesting, I just realized, is we are actually sitting in a product of a side project. Bonfire Radio was very much a side project.
Yeah, we bought it on Etsy.
Man, Etsy, you really do sell everything. Wow. But yeah, and so a side project can become a much bigger thing, especially if you continue to grow it and you figure out what people are looking for.
Well, and again, on the problem-solving thing.
Yeah.
And that's how things become bigger things when the problem you're trying to solve is huge. When you look at Bonfire Radio, the problem was that the radio is a rap.
Right.
I'm not trying to advertise us, because if you're listening to us, you're already listening to us. But you know this, people with ears. The radio's a rap. We just drove from San Francisco to New York, and I heard, 7, maybe 8 total songs?
They love Whitney Houston's I Want to Dance with Somebody.
It's an excellent
across
song.
the country.
It's an excellent song, but man, I swear I didn't hear 10 total songs.
So true.
It's become such a thing that if you want to hear some interesting radio, you do have to go to the internet.
Yes, so Bonfire's filling a need.
Well, and they're filling a definite need because it's not like we don't need the radio. As a music-making person and a music-listening person, in the past 10 years, it's been really hard outside of shows and word of mouth to find out what the new thing I want to listen to. Who are the new people I should be hanging out with? What is the new stuff going on? The things that radio used to provide.
Yep.
So the existence of internet radio is solving a problem that we have.
Yeah.
On all sides of it. And we're starting to see, I noticed the other day when I was looking at some stuff for Bonfire, there are a lot of middle people for your radio stuff.
For your radio stuff, for your art
and they
stuff.
will license your radio station to other places and get you up on this and that and the other thing.
There's a middle person for everything.
Well, I mean, isn't that when we talk about not putting a lot of marketing effort into your thing, being a middle person is the easiest. It's like, hey, you do a thing that you've already done, I'll talk to somebody about it for you.
Yeah. Well, they do the marketing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, Uber drivers don't have to market themselves. People just show up. They just click on their app and there you have work, So that is one of the benefits. That is the hardest part about trying to do something yourself, is trying to get people to pay attention and to care. There's this thing that I remember reading in the Lean Startup where they were like, your biggest concern shouldn't be that someone is trying to steal your idea. Your biggest concern is that no one's going to care about your idea. And that is a reality. So, on that note, since we're talking about Bonfire Radio, we should probably play some music.
Yeah, let's go to some more Bond family. This is Rebel Diaz. If you don't know Rebel Diaz, then I don't know what's wrong with you. Straight out the BX. Wonderful hip-hop MCs. They got a song called Which Side Are You On that features Dead Prez, Rocka Ira Science. It's a lot of folks that you undergroundy folks type love, and they rap good about stuff you care about. So listen to it. Brunch or Budget, Bonfire Radio. Check you in a minute.
We the people are the ones who gonna have to fight. We used to say, which side are you on? Which side are you on? The truth is, we're in so much debt that the only way out is revolution or war. So now the question is, which side are you on? On.
Which side are you on, boy? Which side are you on, my Lord? Which side are you on, boy? Which side are you on, my Lord?
See, before I draw the line, let me welcome you close to all the folks who knew Obama sold the people a hoax. Gave the money to suckers while our community's still poor. Withdrew the troops but started another war. Colonizing, terrorizing, creating the oil crisis so they can make a kill on no food and gas prices. Prisons is filling, they trying to lock up the future. Militarized borders and control of computers. Want a stupid bumping music that ain't healthy for the shortest. Privatizing schools and policemen in the hallways. Can't be dormant, I'm awoken. Rise up, be ready. Brought the family with us and we hold the machetes.
Riding the fence. Too many people be riding the fence. Yeah, you say you ready for war, but are you convinced? I'm not convinced. If you're a rider, freedom fighter, crowd excited, then let's do this. We can make one big united middle finger to the U.S. Give me the bravest and the truest. Fuck the hippest and the coolest. We gon' spark this revolution and cross this off our to-do list. Put your foot down if you look down on this criminal system. Put your book down and get shook down like my niggas in prison. Don't be condemning and condoning their actions in one sentence. But keep your mind, choose your side, as you would pay patriot or a menace to society. So riot or sit by quietly. But don't pull out your flag and try to say you gon' ride with me. You flip-flopping like hip-hop, I don't get locked in that trick box. Get got like Big and Pop, shit's got to stop. I am the people, not the pig, I repeat after Fred. So please blow my brains out if I ever forget.
I'm with the independent thinkers. I'm down with the movers and the shakers and the ex-Henny drinkers, the non-smokers, the health advocates, the non-voters, the young bloods in the hood training like soldiers. I'm on the side of the tracks with the hood gardens, the little child that don't color inside the margins. I don't ride the fence, I cultivate my strength, cause if it ain't about power, it don't make sense. I've been down with Boogie Down since BDP and Brown Pride, and Black Power make RBG. A OG told me choose battles wisely. In the struggle, don't forget your children and your wifey. If you don't see me on the podium preaching it, every day I hope my every action is teaching it. Cause revolution is a process, it's not a speech or a panel. Don't bite off more than you can handle.
Like slingshots in Palestina, con todos los estudiantes por educación gratuita. I'm with workers uprising and the right to unionize. We ain't crossed the border, so you better legalize. I'm with La Peña del Bronx, I'm still with Victor Toro, cause gentrification is polluting my borough. So bro never, South Bronx forever. Decolonize the block, make your neighborhood better. I ain't down with the rich, I'm more Richie Perez. Don't talk to grand juries or cooperate with feds. I'm with students, doctors, janitors, teachers. We need living wages, but they don't believe us. Monida, Barretto, Spofford, Hunts Point, my hood, I love. We join forces, forming our deck, BX. Taking over buildings, rebel Diaz for the children.
Politics to sickness, streets express symptoms. Caught up with a quickness, big business pimps them. Scholars play the simpleton, fools play with wisdom. Who will stand and fight back? Who will play the victim? Trials and tribulations, injured generations. Stolen history and outsourced innovation. Babel Tower fell, tribes are at war. The battle story's not represented in the score. The game's fixed, most of the faces and names switched. Credit stolen for art, science, religion, language, technology, philosophy, and with strangers. They paid in hatred for the knowledge of the ancients. Power in words, actions, guns, swords. Aim Panthers, brown berets, young lords. Pick a side, one sickness, one cure, one love, one blood, one world, but one war.
That was Which Side Are You On? We are Brunch and Budget and Bonfire Radio. Speaking of Bonfire Radio, you know, we are 2 weeks away from the 2015, I guess the first annual Bonfire Radio Audio Festival.
Yay.
It's going to be at the Vasquez Building, which is on Forest Avenue.
Forest Street.
Forest Street and
Forest
Central
Avenue
Avenue.
is a whole different place, so just so you know.
Oh, that's true. Yes, Forest Street with 2 R's, like Whitaker.
Yes.
And Central Avenue out here in Bushwick. And it starts at 10 a.m. It doesn't end till 10 p.m. It's going to have a whole bunch of things and
It is a
people and
marathon.
stuff. It's literally a marathon. We're going to be running in circles while we do our radio shows.
26.2 miles, everybody.
It's going to be terrible.
Yes, it
It's
is.
going to be the sweatiest radio shows ever. No, it's going to be lovely. There's going to be performers.
It's on
We're
the
going to have
roof.
some. We'll be doing our Brunch and Budgeting live.
Yes, we will. 12 p.m. to 1 p.m.
Special
that
time.
Sunday. Hey, partying on the roof. It's going to be awesome. You can buy tickets at where? Oh, bfraudiofestival.splashthat.com.
Yeah, Splash That. It's a good place to buy
Woo!
tickets if you
Yes,
aren't
it
familiar
is.
with Splash That.
It's great. Or you can just go to the website, bonfireradio.com. bonfireradio.com. You can buy tickets. Woohoo! So we only got a few minutes left, and luckily we only have a few more things to talk about, so that works out. The one thing that I did want to touch on, if you are doing a side hustle, is that you are making money that is untaxed. So you're going to have to keep track of it, especially if you are making money on a system that is tracking it anyway. So places like
Word to that.
Etsy, where your sales are being recorded on a website. Airbnb is now sending you 1099s. So if someone is paying you with a credit card or a check and you have to deposit the money, you are going to have to track it. And so that means you're going to have to report it on your income tax returns, which means that because you are technically an independent contractor in that case, that you can actually write off a bunch of stuff that you use to do your side hustle. Things like your cell phone bill if you answer phone calls, the internet if that's how you primarily communicate with people. If you have a special spot in your house where you do your work, you can write off a partial home office deduction. So there are a number of things to keep track of. If you buy anything or do anything while you are doing your side hustle, keep the receipts and track it, and you will be able to write it off and not pay tax on that portion of your income.
For those of you who don't know when you've got receipts or when you don't have receipts, when, hey, someone just asked you to do a thing and you made a thing, even after you finish the transaction, you can create an invoice or have them create an invoice so that you've got some kind of record.
Yes, yes. Good call, yes. And it can just
Same.
be written and just take a picture of it, you know?
Very
So the final thing I want to talk about is when to make your side hustle your full-time hustle.
Now, right?
Now. Always now.
No.
No. Well, one thing is, I mean, it's the question of whether you should quit or just keep it a side hustle or make it a full-time thing. Now, if it's something where you have kind of started losing interest and you don't feel as passionate about it anymore, but you feel like you've spent a lot of time on it and just the idea of letting it go kind of hurts, then maybe it's time to consider stopping and moving on to another project or moving on to another thing that actually gets you excited about it. Because the thing with a side hustle is, you know, some of it is going to be, I just need extra money. But if it's something that you are interested in and you're trying to explore to create a new skill, then it should be something that you are still interested in if you're still doing it. Now, if you want to go full time on your side hustle, definitely make sure that you have some kind of runway, whether it's having multiple streams of income to supplement your new full-time hustle, or if it's saving 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses, make sure that you have a way to live and eat for the next 2 or 3 months. And credit cards are not a way to do it. I'm sorry, guys. Credit cards are good for a lot of things, but definitely not for that. So, and the thing to also remember is there's a lot of people who will forever have a side hustle and still work a regular 9-to-5 job because they like it. They like their work. They like what they do. There's no reason to quit. There's this guy who has a website called My Wife Quit Her Job, and they, in their first year, made $100,000 selling wedding handkerchiefs. I'm not joking. And now he makes money off a podcast and a blog, and he still works at his full-time job. So there are lots of ways to go about this. Just keep in mind that the side hustle, if you're doing it long term, make sure it's something you enjoy and make sure that it's something that you are interested in learning more about constantly. So
And
on
don't
that
forget,
note,
on that note, don't forget to buy Bonfire Radio's oven mitts and wedding napkins.
yes, on Etsy or bfraudiofestival.splashthat.com.
I don't know if we have the wedding napkins quite.
They're not ready yet.
They're not at the
we're
Splash
actually
That.
embroidering them right now. You just can't see.
If
The
you,
magic of radio.
we need you to kickstart our embroidery business part of it. So if
Oh,
you just
Kickstarter's a whole other
send
episode.
a bunch of things to. Well, no, I just want. Come on now. Anyway, we should get out
Take
of
us
your
out,
way.
Alec.
This has been a wonderful Sunday. I hope you've been listening to not only us, but Sweet Success Sundays with Tiffany Denise, part of our Empowerment Sundays, and we'll be listening to more Fire Sundays a little bit later in the day. And we're gonna leave you out with a classic artist, Public Enemy. You may have heard of Public Enemy. Rocking with the Rolling Stones. You may have heard of the Rolling Stones, all in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They got a song called Honky Tonk Rules. It's about some things you should be familiar with, I figure. Anyway, check you next week. Brunch and Budget, Bonfire Radio. Peace.
it, keep it. Yo, said keep it, keep it, keep it. Yo, screw your roots.
I'm tired of this style. Get you learned upgrade and say wow. Worldwide shutting down with that game. You don't know we're in a Hall of Fame. To all the young people who don't know who dig in their pockets. And go Google, learn about truth. Then we're gonna raise the roof. It's the time, salute the youth.
It's the honky tonk, honky tonk, honky tonk.
Your money, only thing that y'all can stand on. Shutting my culture down, it ain't funny. See y'all peeking to the break of dawn. I'm just bragging, yes, I'm boasting. Toast to the blues, so I got an ego. A little something, y'all don't know. Those of y'all ready, so let's go.
You tell me something that you think I don't know. Think again, yeah. Well. Okay,
Be a part of Bonfire Radio's Summer 100 and become a patron of Bonfire Radio. Your support will allow us to make more special programming like our past Black Lives Matters, Sexy Sessions, The Underground, and original audio dramas. Becoming a patron of Bonfire Radio will also allow us to continue to bring you special programming and live broadcasting 24 hours a day. Your support helps us to be in all the important places like South by Southwest, A3C, and industry-related events and festivals. Why not spare yourself that one cup of coffee and become a patron of Bonfire Radio for as low as $2 a month? For more information, please visit us at bonfireradio.com. That's BONDFIRE radio.com and become a member of Bonfire Radio today.